Says it's working great. I like what I'm seeing. This is awesome. And I've got a lot to chat about. That's why I figured I'd go in early. And you can always back up if you miss any part of it. It's okay. I don't mind that at all. It's been a crazy day. It's been a very crazy day. The endeavor has wrapped up for the day, and with good information, good news, good progress, it sounds like we're on the right track. I'm optimistic about the future. I was pessimistic. I'm now optimistic. I like what I see. And I'm hoping that we get to a better place overall. And I'm hoping that I don't run into any issues with what I'm doing. What I'm going to try to do at some point is circle back, figure out what it is we need to do, and decide when I'm going to get out of here because I want to get out of here. It is the first thing on my mind is to get out of here. I can't think of anything else I would rather do than leave this place. And I'm serious when I say this. I'm dead serious. Nevada is arguably, it's not the worst place I've ever been. That's unfair. But it's bad. It's a level of bad that I simply cannot explain to people. I don't know how best to present it. All I can tell you is that it's a bad, bad, bad place to be. So here's my story since we're early, and I'll tell the story and then anybody can back up if they want to. The only reason I'm in Nevada is I had a client, and the client was unfortunately trying to do things that I was not going to allow them to do. See, I'm a contractor. What I do is I work with businesses to help them improve their processes, hopefully, and get them to a point where they're moving forward and doing better than what they were doing before. And I've been doing this a long time, and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy helping companies out. I enjoy helping companies get back to some common sense in their daily process. I don't change what they do. I just call out when things are stupid. So, for example, if I have something that I'm asked to do, it takes me 8 hours by what they're asking me to do it, and I know I could do it in 10 minutes, I'm not likely to be okay doing that work. It'd be the same thing as telling your plumber exactly what wrench to use. They wouldn't take it either. They'd tell you to kick rocks. That's how I am. I'm a contractor. That's what I do. So I deal with a lot of companies and a lot of nonsense trying to dictate to me what they think I should be doing. And I don't play that. I do it my way. Do it my way. I am not letting anybody dictate. So as I work through different clients, and unfortunately the Biden administration year 2021 of hell has caused me to feel that I need to get back on a different track. That's what inspired me ultimately to get into podcasting. Was I got into cryptocurrency. That's why that's the connection to the story. I got into cryptocurrency, realized there's something here, realized I enjoyed doing it, but I also wanted to talk about it with everybody and build a community. And I actually built a different community for a different reason, for college reasons. And then that community's kind of grown wings and gone off on its own. And here, with the regular podcast, I built a small community on the crypto side. Was the vast majority of them Saitama folks at one time? Yes. However, it's since grown to different people. And it's outgrown the Saitama, let's say, baggage, as it were, and has kind of taken on its own life. And then, of course, we have the tribe members. And the tribe members are a whole different class of followers and supporters that I appreciate greatly. So this started in October. That was the podcast start date, October 4th, I believe. And I did a lot of coverage on different cryptocurrencies, completely enjoying it the entire time. I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed talking to people. I had fun doing it. The only thing that was bothering me, honestly, was dealing with stupid devs and stupid cryptocurrencies, which unfortunately continues. I assumed it was like one-offs. I assumed that we just had every now and then you get a stupid cryptocurrency, but it wasn't like every time. And maybe there was some rule where I could find them. No. Turns out the crappy cryptos out there are just out there, and there's no way to really identify them or distinguish them from anybody else. You're just stuck with the crap that's out there. It's not crypto, it's crapto in some cases. So when you have all these projects, right, that are talking about this over here and this over here and this over there, and let's say, the big thing now is yield farming, right? The big thing now is, reflections was once a big thing. It's no longer. Yield farming is a big thing. Constrained inventory is a big thing. And, mining is a big thing, which isn't really mining, but you know what I'm saying? And passives and staking and all these gimmicks that they introduce to entice people to buy into their project. That's what we deal with. That's what we have. That's what we suffer under. When I look at it and I'm saying, there's got to be a better way, right? There's got to be some way that we can collectively, as a crypto industry, as a business, evolve and get better. I don't want to see that we're stuck in this groove of dealing with crap cryptocurrencies. The USTs and Tethers or Lunas of the world, they're crap cryptocurrencies, but at least they're crap that wasn't immediate crap. Like, it wasn't obvious crap. It was like, it took a while for us to realize it was crap, right? And they were pretty good at hiding their crap. Some of these are just downright crap. And then they're blatant about it. They're outright, look, we're telling you we're garbage. We're telling you we're not worth anything. And yet people jump on them because of a green candle. That's how I feel about LockPay. I think LockPay is garbage because I see that it's presented as garbage. They don't present it as a professional business. So why should I take it serious? If I looked at Seifu's trying to present like a business now, but it's too late because up front, when it launched, it only had FOMO to bank on. It built utility after the fact. I wanted serious utility, serious business up front before you focus on green candles, because that's the bar. The bar is, can you come at me with something that's a serious project first? If you can't, I'm not going to take you serious. And for me, Seifu wasn't the right fit, that LockPay is not the right fit, and many of these other ones are not the right fit that I see get a lot of hype on social media. And so I started thinking, a lot of these other people that do YouTube coverage, right? I heard somebody mention that, I guess Adam Shelton and Rodney and the others, they have this plan, right? What they do is they don't really care about the garbage tokens. They only invest in the garbage tokens to do a pump and dump, take the money and invest in their real investments, the ones that they really care about. Gets me thinking, well, that's cool. That's an investment strategy. But at the same time, think of what you're doing to the investors that actually are sitting on that project. You're steering them to something that you know is going to wreck them. And you're taking the money and you're putting it in the thing that you should be recommending to them. And ethically, why are we okay with that? Why are we okay in a world where we tell people to go to a project knowing full damn well it ain't worth nothing, and then just let people get wrecked? This is why I was so skeptical when I did my coverage. And I said on the Strange Emu, I said, there's no way they read that paper, the audit paper. There's no way, because it was common sense. It was telling people it's going to rip them off. Then I said, was this tinfoil? Was somebody trying to set up these influencers? Because why would you build this collage? When I heard this statement and Rodney was called out, but it was like Adam and some others that apparently they want to do pumps and dumps on some of these garbage tokens, take the money and put it in the real projects, got me thinking, maybe they purposely didn't read that paper. Maybe they purposely knew, let's go ahead and get the pump and dump because it's going to pump hard, and then we're going to take it, dump it, put it in what I want, and just keep stacking bills. And then, mind you, many of these token projects pay some of those influencers to shill the project. So now I'm tinfoil again to say, well, okay, how is it that these projects are consistently going, like, it's almost like the projects aren't doing due diligence. They're not looking to see if this influencer has crapped on a project before. Well, why not? Why would you not want to see it that, hey, this person, this lady, this man, whatever, has tanked this project over here, he dumped on it, or she dumped on it? Why would you then want to have them support your project or pitch your project? Because they're going to do it to you. If they did it over here, they're going to do it to you. I don't know where. There's got to be a disconnect somewhere where they're not cluing A to B. And I'm assuming it's desperation. I'm assuming that some of these projects are so desperate to try to shield their project, and they can't think of any other way to survive on their own, that they feel like they've got to do some sort of extreme measure to try to get their project in front of people. And that's part of the reason that I started the YouTube was, I'm not going to shill any project. And if they don't want to work with me, that's cool. That's on them. I'm not going to shill any project. If I think parts of your project are crap, I'm going to call it out like it is, which is why on the Libero side, I called out start to finish. Here's things I don't like. And I'd like to see them fixed. Not because I want to take millions from you. I'm not going to shill you. If it's crap, I'm going to call it crap in my eyes. I had people respond and say, I'm in it. I'll just hold and see what happens. I support that strategy because that's an investment strategy. I am not telling anybody what to do. I'm just calling like I see it that there's mistakes being made. And that's how I treat every crypto. If they're going to make silly, stupid mistakes, I'm not going to give them a free pass. I'm not going to just overlook it. I'm not going to just ignore it. And I'm certainly not going to exploit people for the bucks. Listen, I have my Endeavor off to the side. My Endeavor pays me decently well for the level of effort it takes. It's more money than many people make as full-time work because I'm a contractor, right? I work for myself. I'm my own boss. What I was told, don't know if it's true, just sharing it, is that some of the influencers actually are working for some other organization, and it's this organization that's coordinating to get them in front of like a marketing or some sort of brand agency or something, and they're the ones that's working with the projects to get them in front of the projects. If that's true, great. I celebrate their hustle. I'm not hating on the hustle, just not for me, brother. And I want more dependency. I want more reliability. I want more stability. I want just more out of cryptocurrency because we want it to be around for a while. We want it to be enriching more people, not just individuals ourselves. Because think about this. If we get to a society where everybody is just simply trying to line their own pocket and they don't think about anybody else, where does that leave everybody else? We're no better than the people that we squawk at who are super rich, right? So when I think about whale management, right, how we manage whales in cryptocurrency, and people want to just block whales from doing stuff, and they don't like whales, but yet they'll happily go to some shiller who's already a whale, and they'll pay him $15,000, which is actually the going rate for one of these influencers. They'll gladly pay him that. Okay, but they won't pay $1,000 to somebody who'll just do neutral coverage. Something's wrong. Something's broken with the process. Like, think about it. You have a project that's willing to dump $15,000 into somebody who's crapped on projects before, but you won't spend $1,000 on somebody who's neutral, who has supported the community, who's actually liked by the community, who's wanting to try to help the project. We know we got it backwards because all the focus is on shill. And this, whatever organization, apparently has the silver tongue where they're able to convince these projects that it's the right answer to continue doing this. Meanwhile, my fave 5 and my fail 5, which I'll get to starting at 5, so basically we got an hour. I just started early. All that, the fail 5, those are those kinds of projects. Those are the ones where they basically took shillers and the shillers ruined them, or they just have incompetent people running at the helm. Either way, it's frustrating. It's totally frustrating, and I see more of it. Apparently, we're coming up on the bull that I speculated might come in June. We're coming up on it based on the Federal Reserve announcement. That's good for people that want to stay in cryptocurrency. I know a lot of people just wanted to get out and just said, screw this. I can't deal with this. It's too stressful. And I perfectly understand those people and how they feel, and I don't want them to feel like they have to be, stuck. I don't want them to be trapped. I don't want them to feel like there's an obligation. I know this from desperation. I don't want people to FOMO react off candles. I want people to feel like there's light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to get there at some point, and hopefully June will be a bull season, and we will move forward as a crypto society, and we'll get better at what we're doing. My fear, though, is that we're going to see a lot more garbage tokens show up because they're going to take advantage of what we're seeing, and I hate that. I don't like that at all. I'm hopeful and optimistic that we don't, but something tells me that we are. Something tells me it's going to be a garbage period in June. That's assuming it's a bull run where garbage tries to explode. We're already seeing tokens that I don't think much of coming to the forefront now off the heels of the UST Luna situation. They're just banking on that. The tokens, the Do Kwon token and all this crap that we know are garbage. We know they're garbage. The person might have the best of intentions, right? Same thing with Antecinu. Antecinu was started up because the guy was pissed off at Shiv. Antecinu, he got to a point with what he did, but he couldn't take it any further, and then he rebranded it, and then it crapped, and it's never recovered. When we just react to things and we see that there's a situation, we try to exploit that in the moment It's never going to work out. Never going to work. We've tried it multiple times. No matter what, never works out. Hopefully, big picture, I want to see more projects that are outside the bubble. I want to see more creativity in crypto. I want to see more crypto that parallels, not parallels, but pairs with the stock market side without being the stock market. So one thing I would love to see is that some business, some company, Radio Shack is the closest I can think of. For those that didn't know, Radio Shack is what we used to know as that rickety old store off in the strip mall where we would buy those hard to find parts, hard to find wires, hard to find plugs, or a power strip real quick, or even TVs at times, or the rabbit antennas, anything that was just like hard to find and we didn't know another place to go. We'd go to Radio Shack and they probably had it. And then they ripped you off on the price of their cables and the price of their tapes and the price of their CDs, and everything was a ripoff. Radio Shack started running into trouble because they never competed with Amazon and Wally World and Best Buy and all these other ones. And out of total left field, apparently they had given the brand rights to this org who then spun up a crypto, and then they spun up a swap, and they started onboarding. So now you can see at Radio Shack, it's the literally official Radio Shack account on Twitter is pitching cryptocurrency and their swap. And they're telling people, we're here to basically reinvent cryptocurrency out of thin air. Radio Shack, of all places. Now, this is not to say that it's not a good fit because they understand technology. But Radio Shack has been plagued with piss poor leadership for many, many decades. Not years, decades. I would have liked to have seen Radio Shack rethink using the brand name, rethink podcasting, rethink internet radio, rethink FM radio, AM radio, and really use the brand and focus that direction. I would not have expected them to try to get into cryptocurrency. Where I would see cryptocurrency would be Circuit City. Circuit City would have been fantastic to do cryptocurrency if they got rid of the leadership and they weren't incompetent anymore. They would have been great for cryptocurrency for the brand. The brand that they had, I thought would have been better than Radio Shack. Now, I'm not wishing Radio Shack ill. They might pull it out. They might succeed. They might turn this thing into the next best. I don't know. But I was intrigued to see Radio Shack coming out, pitching cryptocurrency because they actually have a swap. They're actually serious and legitimately moving forward, and it's legitimately them. If you get a chance, check it out, because I was pretty impressed with what they created, at least. It's just that I know that their leadership was a bunch of idiots, and I didn't have any confidence they were going to be able to pull it off. Maybe they do. I don't know, but maybe they do. So Radio Shack's out there. That was interesting for me. A lot of other cryptocurrencies are spinning up now because of the Do Kwon idiot. That was interesting to me. The idiot Vitalik, he came out, said ETH2O delayed again. Didn't surprise me. Pulse Chains delayed. That did surprise me because previous to this, Richard Hart had put up a video saying, we're good. It's all done. We basically launch right now. We're ready to go. We don't have to wait. We could go right now. We're just time's loose in, which wasn't true because apparently it's not ready to go. And there's going to be a delay. That's fine. I'd rather they take the time to get it done right. The point is that he basically misled people, and we don't know what effect that's going to have on investor sentiment going forward. And Pulse Chain was supposed to be what would help us get by until ETH2O got its act together. And now we're not going to be able to rely on the Pulse Chain to help us with the outrageous gas fees. And the gas fees are going to stay outrageous as long as the price of Ethereum stays down, in my opinion. Hopefully I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. We'll have to wait and see on that one. So now we've got Bitcoin. It's trying to climb back up. We have to see if it goes on a run. We have Ethereum. We need ETH2O. We have to see if that's going to happen. We don't know if that's going to happen and when it's going to happen. We have Pulse Chain. We don't know what that's going to look like and when that's going to happen. And then other networks like Tron. Tron is taking advantage of what's happening with Ethereum, and then they're starting to go on a run. However, they don't have very many projects on that chain. So then what do you do about it? Cardano's failing again. Nobody knows why. And I arguably, just as an opinion between me, you, and the four walls, I think Cardano's a beautiful project. I think it has idiots running it, but I think it's a beautiful project. You got Avalanche. Avalanche is still out there, been out there. It's decently successful, but everything that's happening with Bitcoin is kind of harming it right now. Polygon is rumored to possibly go the way of UST and Luna, which is kind of scary if you think about it. But there were theories that Polygon might be unsustainable. Given how long it's been around and how many projects are on it, that would have catastrophic ripple effects. If that were true, I don't know it's true. I'm saying what I heard. Phantom Network seems to be reasonably stable. It went on a little bit of a run, but then it crapped because people were selling off profits. And then there's a couple of projects I'm aware of on the Phantom Network. The Phantom Network, though, has issues with Spooky Swap. Spooky Swap is the primary swap for Phantom. And unfortunately, it had some liquidity issues. I ran into problems myself trying to sell certain projects, and I wasn't able to because they didn't have enough liquidity, which is weird and it's scary, no pun intended. So Phantom's having some issues. Every network's having these issues. And people are trying to think that, well, what's really going on? Is it because of a lack of inventory? Well, that can't be it because people are selling on crazy. Is it because of the Bitcoin situation? In some of these cases, they didn't use Bitcoin as a backer. Is it UST associated? In some of these cases, maybe, but not all the way. Nobody really knows what's going on. So we have some sketchy stuff going on in the land of cryptocurrency. We're going to have to keep an eye on in the foreseeable future and what it's going to look like for everybody affected. Because everybody's affected. Even if it's a network you're not on, it's going to affect you because it's unfortunately connected. Somebody could dump on this network here, take the stable coin, go over here and cause some damage on the network you're on. And you wouldn't know it because you're not seeing that traffic. There's shorts happening all over, limit order shorts happening in the exchanges. Those have an effect on the crypto, even if you're decent only. Most people don't look at the exchange. Sometimes the exchange goes live and you'll know about it. You don't know what disruption that exchange has. I covered Libero and the fact when it went live on DigiFinex, it's basically a pump and dump. These disruptions you can't see. Now the catch is if that project sells you on the idea that that volume is going to benefit you and then it doesn't benefit you, we have to hold them accountable. We have to hold them accountable. We have to tell them, you promised us this volume was going to benefit us in some way. It ain't benefiting us, brother. So we got to get something fixed here and figure out what we got to do. A lot of these, unfortunately, they telescam. It's always telescam. A lot of these rooms, these communities, they've got these kids and all they do, they throw out the word Jeet and they're keyboard warriors and all they care about is their bag. They don't care about fundamentals. They just see the green candle and think it's okay, like made a bull run. And then it craps. They don't come back and give me my credit when I tell them it's a risky business. That's what I suspect will happen to LockPay. And all I'm asking is, again, let's hold them accountable. If they're doing things wrong, if they're doing things that are risky, if they're doing things that put people at risk, we should hold them accountable and not allow them to get away with it. There's no excuse for letting them get away with it because other people's money is at stake. There are people putting too much money into cryptocurrency. And while that's good for the green candle crowd, it's not good when we see that thing craps or dumps and then you hear Janet Yellen go up on the podium talking about locking stuff down because they don't know how to do smart regulations. They only know how to do crazy wild ball regulations that don't serve anybody but their own interest. That's the world we're living in. Unless the investor community comes together and says, look, we got to hold these devs accountable. We got to corral this and speak with our wallet. It's only going to get worse before it gets better. And I don't want to see that. And I don't think you want to see that either. So I know that was a lot, but I had a lot. And I figured going early helped anyway, because it helped me burn a little bit of the time talking about some of this stuff. And people can always rewind if they want to. I'm not going to talk about my core topics until 5 spot. So we got 45 minutes. I am available if anybody has questions. Looks like we got a couple people here in Twitch with me. One of these might actually be me. But looks like we got a couple people on Twitch. Looks like we got a couple people on YouTube. If anybody has any questions about anything at all, feel free to ask. Now would be the time. So I'm going to take a little breather break. All right, no questions. Looks like I don't see any. and everything's looking excellent as far as the stats. Amazing, actually. Twitch is impressing me. Twitch Twitch is like what YouTube should be. Everything is perfect on Twitch. YouTube hasn't squawked at me, so hopefully my new swag is making it happy. I'll ask this, and I apologize, but I need to know because I can't tell from my angle. If you're in YouTube, because I got a couple people in YouTube, give me a like if everything sounds good and everything's flowing good and the video's looking good. If everything's looking good, give me a like on it so I can be aware if everything's working for you. Assuming it is, but just give me a like if it looks good because YouTube seems happy. And if so, I'll keep this setup. There we go. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So, yep. All right. So, my new swag is a keeper. I'll keep my swag and we'll use this going forward for any live setups. And it didn't cost me $1,000 or $3,000, but I still will need to spend the $3,000 because it's like the perfect setup. Right now, it's just a good enough setup. But I'll use this for now until I get the perfect setup. Because it doesn't matter on Twitch. I'm actually very pleased with Twitch's quality. I'm very pleased at how it's pulling the stream and everything else. Doing everything clean, like it's clean. YouTube's not bad, but Twitch is like perfect. I couldn't ask for anything better. I didn't know it was this darn good. Special. All right, if anybody that's listening right now, because I know there's not very many people live yet. Anybody that's listening right now, is anybody here aware of anything having changed or updated, or hopefully not gone downhill, but changed or updated, or anything about Libero Financial and the catastrophe that is, either on Twitch or YouTube? Okay. I don't know if that's a good thing. I'm going to hope that it's a good thing. I'm going to hope that no news is good news because usually when there's news coming out of Libero, it's usually bad news. So I'm taking no news as good news. Thank you. Affirmation of what I was asking. I have a lot of triad stuff happening. We got more members on the triad side, which excites me because it means that I've got something and we're building something exciting. My next step is to build where the community presence needs to be, the final resting place for the community. I'm targeting, I don't want to, but it's like the best of all worlds. I'm targeting Discord for just having a place for us to chat together as the triad. So I'm looking at that one. I might consider Twitch now that I see that it's doing what it's doing. I might even consider Twitch. So I have to do a poll with my tribe members, kind of see which would be the preferred, if it's Discord or Twitch. I think those are the two best possible tools for what I'm thinking, which is interactive chat, live AMAs, being able to talk about the token that's coming, and try to create a plan of attack for that. Because I'm really excited about the token, and I'm hopeful that just having that, creating that, making that a reality, is going to open doors for the expansion of the Triad membership. But I have to be careful because I don't want people to join Triad just for that, and I don't want people to join just to dump it, which is part of the reason I have to delay doing the release of it. Is I don't want people to exploit it. I want it to be useful. I want it to be valuable, and I want the retention. So part of the thought is I have to associate that token to the triad membership, meaning that the airdrops and everything else, well, it's only so good for the membership duration. And then I have to build a tenure. And then the tenure is going to govern the airdrops. That way, even if you get an airdrop and let's say you drop 1 month in, I don't really care because you're not going to get much value out of it. And if you wanted real value, you're going to need to be a member a long time, a real long time. People who were there first, earliest, are going to obviously receive more because they were there before the token. And then what do I need to do for the staking? That's the second part of it. The staking is the value of this one is going to be the staking. The staking is what's going to give somebody the independent value that they want. So I just don't want people to dump the thing, even though it doesn't mean much because it's still volume. But what I want is the perception that there's value from the staking. Most of the tokens that do staking today and the way they issue awards is all cool, but it kind of sucks in some cases because you don't get long-term value out of that stake. You get the one-off Binance USD or BNB or whatever short token you think of. That's fine, but mine, I want more value out of it. I want more than just that. I want it to feel like this is unlike any other token out there in the way that it's built. But I don't want that to be off the airdrop token because it's just an airdrop. People can exploit it. So the second token, which is going to be way later in the year because I don't even know how to start doing that one. The second token is what's going to make that all happen. The first token is the key to getting the second one. So the two of them together, it's that ecosystem that I've talked about with SHIB and the problem with SHIB and the fact that SHIB has tanked because they never really tied the ecosystem together. They never really created kind of uniform utility amongst the tokens, which is what I wanted to focus on. Then you have tokens like, I don't know, well, I guess you could say elephant money is one candidate. Elephant money, they have the elephant money, they got the trunk, they got the stampede and all this other stuff, and they kind of sort of work together, but then this token over here gets breached and it brings everything to its knees. It's not what I want. You look at Everrise. Everrise has multiple components too, but when one got breached, it didn't bring everything to its knees. It just harmed this one that was really just stake rewards, but everybody's core basis was unaffected. That's the kind of segmentation and unity I want, that just one component failing doesn't bring everything to its, doesn't crap it all out. Because I even said it on social media. At this point, no longer can I focus on raising the bar. I have to be the bar. I have to redefine it. I have to show this is what it's supposed to do. This is how it's supposed to work. That's going to attract people by FOMO. I don't want to attract the wrong people because my commitment to the triad is there will not be a toxic community in the triad. It will, I guarantee you, there will be no toxic community in the triad. That means that anybody trading on this token, there will be no toxicity. And the reason there won't be toxicity is there won't be a telescam. I guarantee, I refuse. I will not do telescam because telescam breeds toxicity. And anybody who don't like it, I said it to somebody on YouTube. If you give it, you better be ready to take it because I'm not going to soft touch anybody. I am a straight shooter in a world of sensitivity, and I will not allow anybody to introduce toxicity to what I'm creating. I refuse. I have to show why that works. I have to show why it's the gold standard. I have to show why it's the best way forward. And if I can lead by example, which is my vision, lead by example, show what community is supposed to look like, show what a true successful token is supposed to be, show how a token is supposed to be valued. If I can show what it's supposed to look like, I can hopefully encourage other people to do the same thing. I'm not optimistic because I know there's greedy people out there, but I have to at least try. I have to at least try and show what I think should be the case. It's a big challenge. It's a big challenge, but I'm up for it because frankly, I'm sick of garbage tokens. I'm sick of garbage cryptocurrencies. There are too many of them, and we've allowed them to get away with the garbage for too darn long. And I'd rather step up and see, can I do this better? And that'll shut up the naysayers and the diehards and the Seifu and the lot pay and whatever else of the deep dudes that say, well, why don't you create a token? Okay, I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll show you this is what it is. It's like Dolph Ziggler. I'm here to show the world. I'll just do that. And that's my next plan. That's my next challenge. That's my next mission, starting in June, to try to make that a reality, with the triad members helping me along the way to make that work. And the other thing with that whole triad and the token and everything, no project, none of them have done that. Every single one has done the pre-sale, build up whales with a bunch of money, who then dump off it. Usually they're shillers, and then they'll give it to their buddies. And for what, right? And then there's no accountability. They get like Shinja, right? They get defensive when you question them on wallet movement. And people like Faltron, who truly is tinfoil, but point is, he asks hard questions and they don't want to answer it. Or you go in their telescam and you get banned because you're asking hard questions. Like that, I don't want that. I don't want it. I want a better community. I want it to act like a business, because it will be a business. It's going to be firm and strong and long. And I don't mean that as an innuendo, but I also said, there's some lofty vision here. There's some opportunity here. Imagine I can take this and I can build it and I can partner with something like ETHJets, right? And I can offer discounts from ETHJets in exchange for holding this token. Because I can identify the projects that are worth a damn, I can create those partnerships and extend the value to people. That's what the second token is going to get me. That's part of the vision. That's why I do what I do. Find the good projects that are worth it. That's why my Phase 5 is what it is. And then hopefully, unless their devs are triggered, try to build those partnerships and extend that value. Other projects have tried to do this. AnyPrinter was a project tried to do this and they failed. EarnHub's a project tried to do this and they failed. Thorium tried to do it and they failed. So many tokens tried to do it and they failed. But they failed because their own project didn't have any value. Their own project was already garbage fresh out the gate, with the exception of AnyPrinter. AnyPrinter was a decent project. They just didn't know what to do with it. And then they quit. And to their credit, they made people whole by giving them Scary Chain, but nobody uses that because it's all on the Phantom network. So, and then they had a toxic community. So my goal, my purpose, my vision is to show what a community is supposed to be. There will be no toxicity in my communities, not on my watch. I will not tolerate it. Figure out how to create singular value for the first token. Use that to reward my triad members for their loyalty, because the triad members are the reason I'm challenged. They're the reason that I'm pushing the envelope. So I want to get back to them. Take that and then build the mechanism for the second token, which that token is the real nuts and bolts of a thing. Start building out the partnerships. Create those partnerships with these tokens that I think are worth a damn if they're willing to hear me. And it could be an affinity. It could be two-way. I don't care. But I want to get it to where my members get the best I can offer them. And I'm going to work. I'm going to put in work. Because the thing is, if I can make it work, truly succeed, I won't need to contract. I still probably will, but I won't need to. Well, I want to give back. If they can get me to that point, I want to give back. If they can get me to the point where I don't even need to trade other cryptos because I'm too busy working mine and I like what I'm doing, I'm going to give back. If I can get to the point where I can build a bigger community than like Saitama, for example, I'm going to give back, because the triad members, as I said, that's the key. That's the key to getting all this to happen. Organic, creating it off the people. I don't need shillers. I probably would do a Times Square at some point, but I wouldn't need to. It's not required. I wouldn't need to do crazy wastes of money, because I built everything that you see with a very small investment. There was investment, but nowhere near large. Means I know how to do it. Means I know how to make something work without spending a lot of money. So let me work on the token and do the same thing there. It's just code. And then work on security aspects, which I have experience in already. Get it to where the second token is ready to go. Tie the two together. Create a value system that nobody's ever seen before, at least not in this way that I'm envisioning. Watch the copycats struggle and fail, even though it's open code, because they won't understand the community aspect of it. They won't understand why the lack of toxicity breeds success. They won't understand how the triad membership is the roots. It's the roots of the tree. None of them will understand it. They'll copy it. They'll go after shillers like Jacob Game. They'll pay him $15,000 and it'll fail because they'll dump it. Cool. That's awesome. That's exciting. Think about that. To have the potential to be in the position that Titano is, being a front runner, the position that Safe Moon once was, being a front runner, the position that Safe Earn used to be at one point, being a front runner, the position that I'll even say Floki was at one point, being a front runner in something, being the first to do something, and then being that one that everybody wants to copy because you're just attracting people and money. Then I got to think, do I launch that in the bear market just to prove that the bear market doesn't matter? Or do I wait for the bull run and possibly get lost in the noise? All these decisions I got to think about and process and plan and create a strategy moving forward. Because I commit to the triad members, if I go, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep on moving. And if I have to bring in other people, then I'm going to bring in the best. Bringing the best simply means I'm still going to have control over what they do. So we don't have rogue devs. There will not be this group nonsense like Saitama where other people over here can screw up and then I'm on the hook. That's not going to happen, brother. There's not going to be triggered devs because there won't be a telescam. And if we do Discord, the admins are going to be well-traveled, well-behaved people. And I know at least 3 I can think of off the top of my head that I would put in that position. We are going to have the access to be able to talk to people. We're going to have video, not through Twitter Spaces, but through a regular link that any device can hit. We're going to have true AMAs, which means ask me any damn thing you want. There's not going to be this softball question stuff that you see with other cryptocurrencies because there's no reason. If I can't answer hard questions, I'm not worth your money. I'm not worth the time. I'm not worth it all, which is why building it around the triad made sense because I've already created that communication with the triad. So they're already going to know. They're going to know long before everybody else knows. Here's what the token is. Here's when you're going to get it. Here's what it's going to do for you. Here's the value I'm looking at. Here's my plan every step of the way. And the thing is, if you look at other influencers, let's say influencers, right, on YouTube, and you look at how much they charge for supporting them, and I recommend you do show support to them because this is hard. This is not easy. This stuff it takes practice to do this. It takes time to do this. You're away from your family. You're not eating at the same schedule you normally would do. You can't play with your kid or whatever. This isn't easy. It's in some cases, it's a lot of work. So I do recommend supporting channels and influencers that you like. My point is, if you look at what some of them charge, if you look at what some of them collect to shill tokens, if you look at what some of them collect on their live chats, like my YouTube, even if I hit the threshold for monetization, I don't need to turn it on. I don't want people to tip me there because I don't want them to feel like they have to because they're part of the live that I'm now doing. I want them to tip because they really like the content. And I have a different tip jar that's always been there for anybody that wants to do it. I don't pitch it. I don't shill it. It's just there. And if somebody wants to drop a tip, they can. The Triad membership takes it to the next level because it says for that same tip, you get all these value add things, including, depending on what tier, at some point, you're going to get some cryptocurrency in your wallet. And when I make that freaking faucet a thing, that's going to be cool. That's going to be game changing because nobody else has done that. Even those influencers that ultimately went to a crypto, nobody's done what I'm thinking of on the faucet side. The game now changes. Then at some point, I have to start really seriously considering, am I so stretched that I might as well just create an exchange? I'm not saying I am. I'm saying I'll have to think about it. The start point is that faucet. As more people get in cryptocurrency, I suspect Ethereum's going to be less desirable. I suspect that some of these alt networks are going to be more desirable. I suspect that ETH2O is going to be delayed again. I theorize that ETH2O is not going to wrap up in 2022. And if I'm right, there's going to be a need for people to get into the other networks right off the jump. Coinbase ain't going to do it. So if you're in the United States, Coinbase ain't going to do it for you. So I want to offer a way to help people get into those other networks straight out of the gate. And all you have to do is be a member of the right tier of the triad, and you're going to have access to those gas tokens off the faucet. Again, nobody's touching that. Nobody's coming close to that. And if you think of the dollar amount, it's almost like giving it away. That's because I'm not trying to get enriched off my triad members. I'm trying to build a community, collect a little bit to support giving back to the community. Show how it's supposed to be done, how community's supposed to be done. That it's not just an ICO to collect a bunch of money from whales who then are going to dump on people and run to telescam and pin a bunch of garbage up there that nobody reads and confuse people, or do like Libero and create confusing websites that nobody can navigate. I want to show how it's all supposed to be done. I want to show how it's supposed to be correctly done, but also I want to give back to the people who have supported the brand all this time, starting with Crypto Talk Radio, but then Casual Talk Radio is also going to be on Triad. Haven't decided on Combat, but the plan is to build this as a true community. There are people on the crypto side that are interested in the casual side. There are people on the casual side interested in the crypto side. I want to bring it all together. Create the one under CTR, as you see up there, the brand, and then push this forward. How far can I go? The sky's really the limit now, because now I've got my Endeavor off to the side. I don't have to worry about money now. So, big picture, the token is priority one for my triad members to get that done and move it forward. Full on radio, which I basically just have to pay for. Full on radio. When I say radio, I'm talking live, I'm talking online, 24/7 radio station. I'm talking FM radio station in regional areas under CTR. I'm talking big. Long term, then I'm going to have to start hiring somebody. And the plan is to hire just one assistant. And that person's job is going to take over the show prep. Show prep is simply making sure everything is working, make sure everything I got everything I need, right? Make sure the testing and all the staging and all that stuff's all good to go. In the new physical space that I need to get, I'm going to have the physical studio all ready to go in preparation for the live TV. And the live TV is going to be on things like RockU, Amazon TV, Apple TV. It's going to be an app that's going to be up there. That's like end game. Once I get to that point, once I get that done, that's when I'm going to be doing the Times Square advertisements to show people I'm here. I have lofty visions and I have big picture ideas. It's more than just crypto now. I've got to figure out where I want to take it, but I couldn't have got this far without crypto talk and without the triad members. And I appreciate them, and it's time to give back to them and show them that I'm here and ready to go. We're 18 minutes away, ladies and gentlemen, from probably our most exciting, our most entertaining episode ever. I had to burn some time. I argue none of the other YouTube people can do it like I can do it. I'm talking just the talk game. I don't think any of them can do it like I can do it. It's a skill. It's a talent. Rodney's pretty good. I'll give him a little bit. He's pretty good. Jacob Gagan, he's pretty good. Austin Hilton, he's pretty good. I don't think any of them come close because, again, I'm not a YouTuber. I'm a podcaster. I'm a radio host. Talking's what I do. And once you start in one avenue and you're good at it, parlaying it over here is simply a matter of style and finesse, and then turning that into the show that you now see and giving back to the people that got you here and making sure you never forget them along the way. And I thank everybody that got me here. Hopefully, and I see from the likes this is true, but hopefully this is arguably the best sounding and visually the best looking of all of our live uploads, thanks to all of the tweaks that we did. I don't want to bore you with specifics, but suffice it to say, it's kind of like crypto. The tool that everybody was hyping to the moon, deep, was garbage. Okay, fancy that. So the one that gets the most hype is crap. I had to use the regular, everyday tool that nobody else uses, and it's perfect. Does exactly what I want it to do, the way I want it to do it, with easy control. So, that lesson learned for me, just like in crypto, if it's getting hyped on social media, it's probably crap, which is that's why I don't cover cryptos that are getting excessive shill on social media because they usually turn out crap, which is sad. Speaking of, I'll just cover this since we got 60 minutes. Terrarium. I don't know if anybody else is in this business, but let me switch this over real quick. So, terrarium. If I don't know, I would love to hear if anybody who listens to this is in this business and can kind of help me wrap my head around this. I covered terrarium ages ago, and I wasn't impressed with what I saw because they had terms and conditions that were straight like, okay, no, that's a lie. You can't do that, and I'm not going to let you get away with it, kind of thing. It just they rubbed me the wrong way. Johnny Gill, 1998, I think. It was terrible, just absolute terrible. I couldn't understand what it was about this project that was appealing to people. Anybody listening to the show, I would love feedback, whether it's here or it's at cryptotalkradio.net at our contact form. I would love to hear any feedback from anybody to help me try to understand the appeal of terrarium. I understand what its utility is stated to be. I got that. I understand the building doesn't move the needle for me. But if anybody listening to this, whether live or recorded, has information that can help, what is it that's appealing about terrarium? It feels like a project that slapped together a logo, that built a building, but it doesn't do anything other than have really smart, credible people, because it has really intelligent people, but they're not doing anything. And so I struggle with, well, why is so many people getting hyped on this thing? And its price movement tells me that the hype is either temporary, like social media, they're just hyping it, people just FOMOing it, or they're doing something and they're failing, like Satama. Like, I would love to hear from anybody. And I'm serious when I say this, anybody who can help me wrap my head around what is it about terrarium that's got people, eyeing it and buying it, because I struggle this one. I saw people on social media today actually ask the question, is terrarium a rug pull? Is it a scam? I don't think it's a scam. The people behind it, they put their names, they're on LinkedIn, they're not going anywhere. It strikes me that they just don't know what the heck they're doing because, again, when I saw the terms and conditions, there was a project. Actually, this is a good segue. So let me pull this up real quick and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So when I did the coverage on terrarium, I identified this line in their terms and conditions. They've since removed it. It's not there now. But the reason I had refused to cover them at the time, they had this line, and I'm like, wait a minute. No, yes, it is an investment. You're not going to tell me it's not an investment, and you better darn sure make sure that there's liquidity in it. This was saying, well, we don't have liquidity, too bad, doop. And I'm like, screw you, brother. You better make sure there's liquidity, and you better make sure it's an investment in your mind, and I'm going to get some ROI. So I made the comparison to the old project called Meta Bull Run. Meta Bull Run was a project, I'm pretty sure it was a Binance Smart Chain. Back in November, I think it was, or December, I covered Meta Bull Run on the podcast at cryptotalkradio.net. And I told people, this looks sketchy. I don't know why anybody would invest in this thing. And I'm trying to keep you guys safe. I don't recommend you YOLO and be safe, but I don't think it's a good idea. And the room, the Telescam room at the time, which is one of the reasons I stopped going to Telescam, had a bunch of keyboard warriors and people calling me a Jeet and all this other garbage. And they weren't listening to me, saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's a great project. It's going to the moon, deep, and all this garbage. And I left, and I didn't want to start a fight or any of that stuff. I was just trying to warn people. Next thing I know, it rug pulls. I apparently rug pulled. So then I made the connection because this term, what's in their terms and conditions for terrarium at the time, was very close to what I saw in Meta Bull Run. And I don't know why the projects, like it seemed like these investors, these people, which I can't even call them investors because some of them are kids, but it seems like these kids are just not looking at this documentation. It reminds me of Strange Emu, where people aren't looking at these fundamental docs and they're just jumping to a thing off the green candle. Listen, I'm respecting everybody's right to do that. But it's not going to stop me from calling out when something's just straight garbage. Like if it's crap, I'm going to call it what it is. It's crap. And I don't want to see people get harmed. It doesn't make any sense. And yet this continues to happen. Fast forward now, right? I'm looking at the news, not the mainstream news. I don't watch mainstream news, but I'm looking at various crypto news. And I did a coverage on our podcast today, or yesterday rather, cryptotalkradio.net. And I was talking about this token as part of that coverage. This project's called Stable Gains. And what happened was apparently they built an application where you would give your credit card and it put an investment in, and they told you it's going to go to USDC as a backing, as a stable backing, right? Turns out they had backed it to USDT or UST without telling anybody, right? Read. And so UST craps. And so then people are pissed off. It's like, where's our money? You told us this is USDC and you put it to UST and you didn't tell us. These investors, a bunch of them created a class action. They took this Stable Gains to court. Stable Gains said, if you want to get your money back, you're going to drop this lawsuit right now. The investors are like, what are you talking about, man? You stole people's money. And they said, read the terms. In the terms and conditions, there's a line that basically says, I'll paraphrase, something to the effect of, if something happens where the value of UST and USDC no longer match, we are not responsible. It was something to that vein, basically saying they had to have known that UST was going to go in the crapper and they were gambling off of it, essentially. And so they put this term in there to CYA, and none of them read it. None of the investors read this crap. And so then this class action comes through, and the judge is, now they're debating it, but the judge is like, well, this term seems to think that you're basically accepting that risk by accepting the terms by investing in this thing. And the investor's like, well, we didn't see that. And as I say, this is why you need to read the terms and conditions for every project. And it's why, even though I got beat up when I said Terrarium, I'm not going to cover it because their terms and conditions are crap, I got attacked from all the, the keyboard warriors and the gamblers out there. That's why you have to read when they're telling you stuff that's either illegal or sketchy. If they're trying to do something that's going to take your money, no, don't invest in that. And if you do, own it and say, I'm a gambler. It is what it is. I'm going to toss some money, see what happens. That's what my beef was with Strange Emu. Because in Strange Emu, none of them could have read that document, that audit document that straight told them, you know what? Owner can do whatever we want. We're not subject to these fees, and owner can, even if it's renounced, we can take back ownership of the contract. And if you do a trade, the 3%, we're going to steal it from the sender, but we're not going to give it to the receiver. It's just going to disappear into the ether. No pun intended. Nobody could have read that document. And then they complain when they get rugged, right? And so I always have said, you need to read the freaking terms and make sure there's not garbage like this in whatever documentation they decide to share with you. Because if it is, if you're a gambler, please, by all means, go ahead and do what you're going to do. I'm saying I would not recommend that you do that, and make sure that you keep yourself safe. That's all. And if you're a gambler, just admit you're a gambler. That's all I've ever said. With this lot pay business, it's the same thing. I had somebody just today on social media say, didn't read the white paper, No, because I didn't get past the flashing buttons from the AOL back in the 90s and the car salesman trying to persuade me on this garbage project, and the fact that he holds 76% of the token supply and he's not subject to the fee. I was too distracted by all the other red flags. There was so much red, I felt like a bull in a china shop. No, I didn't look at the white paper. It didn't matter because there were so many other issues that it wouldn't have mattered if the white paper was perfect. You still have all these other problems going on. But apparently this white paper has sold people that this is supposed to be this legitimate project that's going to be here the long term, all because they're seeing the green candles in a sea of red. We're in a bear season. They see the green candles and they assume that that's good when it's not. It's risky. If you ever see a project where there's nothing but green candles in a straight up bear season, it is a risky project. I didn't say don't invest in it. I didn't say don't gamble it. All I said is, if you're going to do that, just admit you're a gambler and say, I'm going to toss some money, see what happens. I see the same risks you see. I'm not going to let it bother me. I want that money. All of that rhymes. Go for it. I support you, especially if you win. That's what I said to the Seifu people. I told them it's going to launch at 10, it's going to jump unreasonably, it's going to crap, and then it's going to struggle to rebase and get back to normal. I got beat up and attacked to the point I had to release, I believe, 3 or 4 different coverages to kind of defray all the comments because they were not listening. I never said don't buy a project. You'll never hear me say don't. You'll hear me say I don't recommend you do. You'll hear me say I don't suggest that you do. You'll hear me say I strongly think this is a bad idea. I'll never say don't because it's not for me to tell you these things. It's not for me to tell you what to do with your money. It's for me to try to keep you safe. And doing so means don't YOLO, don't FOMO, and read the documentation before you make a decision, and then ultimately think with your wallet. When I say think with your wallet, I'm saying be cognizant. When I see these people and they're like, I took a loan out for $450,000 into Luna, and I'm just mind blown. What the heck were you thinking? And I can only speculate if you were that wealthy with that good of a credit to be able to get a $450,000 loan, you probably didn't need crypto in the first place. So I can only assume it's just stupidity in some cases, right? And FOMO in other cases, and possibly external influencers, which when we get to 5, we got 6 minutes here, folks. I'm going to tell a story on one of the fail 5 because they're definitely going to fail 5. I'm going to tell a story about that one. Shillers dumping off projects and killing the projects and killing the business. I'm going to be telling that story because that's an ongoing thing that keeps happening. People don't know about. People don't know that a lot of the red that you see, the deep reds, are often shillers. Lily Finance, that was shillers that dumped it initially when it first launched. They dumped off of it when they were, I would argue, this is my opinion, illicitly given tokens before everybody else got the contract address. And then somebody leaked the contract address through Telescam, which allowed them to then get in and dump off of it before anybody else could get associated to the project. Yeah, this is all my opinion. I don't have any evidence, but I was going off the data that was spreading around. So for me, to you, all I am, because we may have new people, all I am is an investor just like you. And I add a sprinkling and a smattering of the technical knowledge that I bring to the table. That's all. Other than that, I do not present myself as an expert in anything. I ask you to verify what I'm seeing. You will see what I see. The question is how you interpret it. You may interpret it differently and say, you're going to go ahead and gamble a little bit, see what happens. One of the YouTube responders said that. I celebrate him doing that. And if he wins, awesome. It's like gambling. And I shared out to this dude on social media. You know, Kenny Rogers, that's your theme song. That should be your theme song going forward. You are the gambler. You know when to hold them, when to fold them, when to walk away, and when to run. That's all. Just admit that that's what you are. That's all. I like people to be true to themselves. This above all, to thine own self be true. And it's lacking in today's society because arguably social media has told people to be phony. And I'm unfortunately a straight shooter in a world of sensitivity, and I don't work that way, brother. So I'm excited for the 4 minutes from now to get into my fave 5 and my fail 5 because some of these projects you've heard of, some of them you haven't. And just to preface real quick, 3 minutes. The reason I wanted to do the fail 5 is it occurred to me doing the last fave 5 that we did. First of all, one of them's dropped off. But the fave 5 gives you a perspective on what I'm looking at, what I'm looking for, what kinds of things excite me about a project. What's attracting to me, right? Because I am different than many other YouTube people. That said, I think a lot of these are really invested in these. They just don't openly admit it because it would, tank their whatever they're doing in this forum, this consortium. Me, I'm like, whatever. I'll tell these projects I'm in that when I like it. I like what you're doing. And I'll tell other people I like what it's doing. And I'll always have my disclaimer. And by the way, you'll hear my disclaimer when it cracks 5. So bear with that. I always just warn people, this is what I'm looking at. This is why I like it. Well, the fail 5 is the opposite. I'm going to talk about the ones that I just think are straight garbage and why I think they're garbage. They might not have failed as in plural. They're fail 5 because they're the worst examples of what to do in cryptocurrency. And it was hard, frankly, to find just 5 because there's so many of them. There's so much crap. Then I limited down to the tokens that I was directly involved in. That limited a lot more, but I still ended up with like 8 candidates. And so I'm going to have to go through and really pick the absolute dregs, the dregs of crypto society, the ones that have no redeemable value, the ones that are just absolute trash, and why. because I think it's important as a learning thing why I think these ones are trash, and we can learn from the lessons of these past ones. Many of these are still around, they're still active, many of them are not. So I picked a blend of ones that are dead, and I'm talking truly dead, and ones that are still around, but they might as well be dead, so that we can talk through them. And I think what you're going to find is of the ones that I picked, none of them are the meme category now, but I want you to at some point take a look at them, of whatever's left in some cases, take a look at them, and you'll see, you know what, there was something here, and the story will tell you, okay, what went wrong. All right, let me go ahead and get my public service announcement queued up here, folks, because we're 1 minute away from go live for our Fave 5 and Fail 5. Thank you for sticking around. For those that came in early, I know it was unexpected. It's unusual, but I figured, I want to test the swag, make sure everything's working. So let's get this queued up, and I'll see you on the other side here in about a minute or two. All right, we're back at it. Now we get to start the fun stuff. For everybody that was here earlier, thank you for sticking around. For everybody that just got in here, thank you for joining. Hopefully, everything sounds loud and crystal clear and looks even better. That's the plan, because I've got swag. Let me jump right in this. It won't take me too long either. Today's episode, I got a couple of things I want to cover real quick. And fortunately, I don't have to do too much PSA, but just know that as I cover this stuff, these are not designed for me to influence you or steer you or any of that kind of stuff. I want you to make your own choice and decision what you want to do with the information. I'm simply an information conduit, but I think once you hear it, it'll make sense why I say there's a lot more to this, and I want to try to position it a certain way. So I'm not steering you to any of these. I'm not steering you away from them. In some cases, there's no choice. I'm just informing so that we can learn together on these different cryptocurrencies. Real quick, though, Georgia, the Georgia election. If you're not in the United States, you don't know what it's all about and all the hubbub. The Georgia primaries took place yesterday. Started yesterday. They're doing the tally votes now. The reason it's important is Georgia is considered one of the so-called battleground states, and it is going to tell us a story about the expected blowout in November for the House and the Senate in the government. And the reason this has some traction is, I said before, I believe the current administration does not like cryptocurrency. I believe they hate it. I believe they want to lock it down. I believe they don't want people to financially succeed. And if there's a blowout, it's going to lean towards the Republican side. And the Republicans, for the most part, have been receptive to cryptocurrency. What I'm saying is, I believe that the success in the Georgia primaries of the Republicans might send a bullish signal leading into June, July, August, September, October, November for what we might see in the future. We might see a return to power, and state by state, we see more of the Republican side get back into government, and then Biden will become a lame duck, which means that we wouldn't see more of the Janet Yellen's trying to lock down cryptocurrency and executive orders trying to ban cryptocurrency and all this garbage. It might bode well, is my point. Can't say definitively. I'm saying that there's a possibility that all happens, and we have to watch it and see what happens from here. That's why there's so much eyes on the Georgia election, because it's going to tell us a lot about how the other states are going to go. I'm watching it in particular because I know Georgia had a lot of issues in the 2020 election, and I'm curious to see what the people's sentiments is. What does the voice of the people say? And I know they changed a lot about the voting, and it's going to be an intriguing battle come November, regardless of how this 24th, 25th, and 26th turns out. It's going to be an intriguing battle come November. And I am also curious to see the other battleground states and see Are we seeing similar blowouts there? Are we seeing that basically the sentiment has shifted? I don't even think it's about Trump. I think it's simply many of the people who are getting washed right now, because some of them got washed. I'm talking 60% to 15%. It's bad. Many of the people that were getting washed are the ones who said, yep, we should force stuff in people's arm. We should get people fired if they don't do it. And those are the people who are getting washed out. So that tells us the people didn't want this. And so I want to watch and see where we go from here. Now, let's jump right into our exciting stuff. First up, Triad members. I want to give a special shout out to all Triad members. We have grown ever slightly, the Triad member pool, and I've sent the initial membership information to the new members, and hopefully we'll continue that momentum. We'll get more people on board with the Triad membership. I'm optimistic with the value that we bring with it, that it is going to go to the moon, as it were. It's just going to take some time, and I'm in no rush. I want it to be done right. I want the best community, period, in all of the stratosphere. I want the best group of people. I want the best value. I want everybody saying simply the best, better than all the rest in everything I deliver. So I have to now be the bar. It's no longer about raising the bar. So thank you to the Tribe members. Also, thank you to the Tribe members for pushing Libero. It seems like it may have been futile because I never heard back from them. I didn't expect to. But thank you for pushing them at least and trying to get them to fix their issues. And we'll see where it goes from here. I'm not optimistic on it, but there's not really much anybody can do with it at this point. So we'll see what the future holds. I'm simply saying thank you for being that mainstay and helping to open eyes to the fact that there's somebody out there that's not shilling this thing that we believe can help you get back to track. Maybe sometime in the future, they'll come around. I doubt it, but let's be optimistic at least. Now, Fave 5. I dropped one of the Fave 5 out of here. Let me refresh on the Fave 5 and where we were before. As a reminder, the Fave 5 are the list of the 5 projects that I believe have the most long-term potential, starting with, of course, Elk Finance. Elk Finance, to refresh, it has tools and utilities that let you basically jump across networks. And it's one of the best organized set of utilities I've ever seen, shy of Everrise. Love it, love the people, love what they're building, love what they're doing. I can't say anything negative about them, frankly. Many people don't know about them. I forget even how I found out about it. Might have been somebody on Reddit. But I do recommend checking out Elk because I think they're going to be something, they're going to be a major player in the next 3 to 5 years easily. So Elk Finance was, I'm pretty sure Elk Finance was number 1. I'm pretty sure number 2 would have been Parabolic. Parabolic, of course, is on the Binance Smart Chain. They've since moved to other chains. They went to AVAX, Ethereum, and one other. And the reason I like them, really nice devs. They released the game on schedule, and for them, they purposely didn't go after shillers. They wanted to build it right. They wanted to be seen credible. They wanted to be respected, but they also built the contract clean. Like if you look at the contract, they're doing true burns, not the dead wallet garbage. They're truly burning the tokens. So they removed some supply, and they've already had a constrained supply to begin with. So I said, this is one of those. In the next couple of years, it's truly going to go parabolic. It has no choice to because of constraint of inventory. So I'm cheering them on and watching what they're doing, and I'm bought into that one. Of course, Everrise, one of my all-time favorites because of all the utilities they built. Absolute cool utilities. They're outside the crypto bubble. They're really nice people too. They have their faces and names on the site. Their site is very well prepared. Like I was arguing with this LockPay business and saying this is what a website is supposed to look like, actually professional, act like a business. That's these guys. If I wanted to tell anybody what a true business in crypto should look like, it's Everrise, easily. When I build this project, this token project that I'm thinking of doing for the tribe members, I'm going to be jumping on the Everrise ecosystem, guaranteed. Guaranteed. And then I had to drop Libra off. And I'm sorry, but I had to drop Libra off. It wasn't going to work for me, brother. And I just couldn't do it. So debuting on the Fave 5 list for this one is Angie Eco. And Angie Eco, they debuted, I'm pretty sure they debuted on the Binance Smart Chain, but Angie Eco it's a utility-based project. They have a very nice web layout, and the reason I'm listing them and the reason I like them so much, they're truly an underdog. They've worked hard to try to improve and increase what they were doing and get more eyes on the product. They had a lot. They had banners all over the place. They put on the bus stops, they put things there. At the subway station, they put stuff there. At the airports, they put stuff there. They've spent so much on marketing and advertising, and they've struggled. Regardless, they've struggled to get more people on board. Even though they're on a number of exchanges, like they've done everything right. And I love the branding. I love the strategy. I love the approach. I love the messaging. They're really nice people. I've actually reached out to them recently to see if I can help them from a communication perspective. Just a great overall, like one of those feel good projects. And strong utility. They have their own swap. They've done so much and very little mistakes. Very few mistakes have they made. So I looked at it and said, I like what they're doing, but it just seems like they're not able to get over that hurdle for whatever reason. So Angie takes the place of Libero. Libero has dropped off my fave five because Libero is making critical mistakes around the mining that I simply do not agree with. And I think that they should have been focused on the bonding. I'm only one man, so they don't have to listen to me, but I think they're making critical mistakes. And I had to kick them off the list. Hopefully they'll rejoin if they give me a call and let me help them. But for right now, Angie Eco, welcome to the fave five. And that rounds it out. All of these projects, if you look at the pattern, all of these projects are ones that try to act like a business. They have decently good, positive devs that are trying. They're actually putting effort into what they do. They don't act like the memes. They're not, let's go to the boo, doot, 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 kind of garbage. They don't have toxic communities. They don't do excessive shills. They're trying to win on their own, and they win like a business. They're not about the FOMO candles. They're not for the ones who just care about green candles. And that's all they look for. These are ones for long play. These are ones where they want you to invest in them for the future, right? It's like at some point, it's going to be a thing. In the meantime, between now and then, we have to step up and show that we're worth it so that you hang on to us and you invest more into us. That's my fave five. I believe they're ones that they're going to last the test of time more than any other project out there. Now, I hate to say it, but my fail five was a struggle to pick five because there's so many jacked up, crappy projects out there. There were so many I couldn't pick and choose. I think I've limited it down. There were some obvious ones. Let me start with the obvious ones because that's easy. Top of the list, Satama. I'm sorry. There's nothing wrong with the Satama contract. I know they're about to do a V2. Great for them. They're going to constrain the inventory. Great for them. They're finally doing exchanges. Satama, for those that don't know the story, Satama launched months back in 2021, Q2, I believe it was. And it dropped to zero, literally month over month over month over month, until the failed Vegas event on November 13th. It was consistently dropping zeros all the way up to this event. Leading up to the event, they're telling people we're going to have the Cyta mask and it's going to be an amazing thing and you're going to be able to download. They put a banner up on the MGM Grand. They put banners in Times Square telling people we're going to have this mask. You're going to be able to download this mask at the event. We're going to show it. We're going to do a whole big shindig. And what it turned out to be was the next generation of Firefest because you basically had Jake Gagain drunk and asking for drinks and not knowing what he's doing with filming because they couldn't figure out the film crew because of limitations with camera. And the limitations with camera are probably because of the shooting, Stephen Paddock's shooting that took place in the Mandalay Bay when he had so many suitcases. There's ways around it, but Gagain's never done something like that. So he didn't know what to do. The cult leader, as I call him, was too proud to ask people local in Vegas, like, to help him out and say, here's what we need to do. I'm happy to do the interviews. I'm happy to do the setup. I know how to do the lighting to make the Grand happy. The reason I know this is that there are tons of boxing events and UFC events that happen out here, and they often take place in one of the arenas. The way they deal with these restrictions is you simply have to use limited hardware. So you're filming on like phones or your lighting is like one of the small ring lights. As long as you're not carrying major equipment, which is what a lot of them do, they don't really care that much. But if you're going to do the phone, you have to have certain software to be able to live stream it up to a thing. I have software right now where I can live stream to 5 different places. Right now I'm streaming to both Twitch and to YouTube, simulcast in this quality. I'm at a computer, but if I were doing it at a phone, I could do it just as easy with the same software. The software I'm using right now to talk to you supports a phone interface. and you can stream it to anywhere you want. But you have to know how to do this stuff. Gagain didn't know how to do it. He's never done it before. So I understand he was like the spokesman for Saitama for so long. Eventually he quit. But the point is, the cult leader failed them. And the Vegas event was a failure. They just were drinking and having a party, and it was a small room, and you didn't get to see the wallet. You couldn't download it. And as we learned, wallet wouldn't even come out, really fully come out. Even now, it's not even in a finished state. So all of this tanked investor sentiment. A lot of the toxicity tanks investor sentiment. Just a bad thing all around. So then the next one, and I had to think about this one. This one took me a while to decide. I'm going to pick Green Chart. Green Chart, the big problem about this project, LockPay, right? LockPay does this thing, and they say, we're going to go ahead and do this business, and we're going to lock it down because we want to make sure that chart stays green, right? And they do this, and it looks like it's good. It's going green. It's going up and up, 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 up. Then they have an image, and what happens is, apparently, I was told, somebody, the lead guy, gave the key to the master wallet to some duck-faced girl that was one of their groupies in the telescam. She took that and she ran. And then they couldn't find the leader, so they didn't know what the heck was going on. And it was this whole big fiasco, right? Then the current green chart you see now that's out there on the Binance Smart Chain was the community. They figured out how to get the funds back from this girl. And they spun up a new token, apparently airdropping to the existing holders. I wasn't there. I'm just explaining what happened here. But when I heard about this duck-faced girl, I don't even know what to think about it. I was stunned. I was shocked to hear they did that. Getting the money back's all cool, but people suspected that the lead guy might have been banging the girl. No proof, no evidence, but it was a bad thing. So I got to put him there. Number 5. See, this is where I get to a toss-up. This is where I got to think about it. I got to do it. Yeah, I got to do it. EarnHub. If you don't know what EarnHub is, that's okay. There used to be a project called SafeEarn. SafeEarn came as a result of SafeMoon. It was a spinoff. Basically, the SafeMoon, some of the people from SafeMoon community spun this off, created a token called SafeEarn. And they were going to try to do SafeMoon's mechanics better than SafeMoon. They built this SafeEarn. They created a staking pool that would allow you to earn SafeMoon for staking your SafeEarn. Was the story behind this. Fast forward, and then they decided to rebrand because they had a falling out with SafeMoon people who later, according to CoffeeZilla, were basically ripping out the project. They rebranded to EarnHub, and they're going to airdrop. They constrain the inventory, and they're going to airdrop this down to people. The EarnHub project, the whole thing around it was if you stake your tokens, you can basically claim rewards in any token on the Binance Smart Chain. So you would put in whatever wallet, whatever token address rather, for any token on the Binance Smart Chain and get that as a reward for staking your EarnHub. What ends up happening? When they launched this business, it was actually a V2 when it died. They launched it. It got hacked right off the jump. They launched it again. The second launch was fine, but it took so long for them to do the second launch and so many issues were happening that people dumped off the token and it never recovered. So people's investment, just to put it in perspective, because you think that Libero's bad or, like Seifu's bad or, all these ones. This one, I think I had $40 worth dropped in and it went to like $2 in value. And I was buying off the dip because I like the rewards. Well, the reward system didn't work. It's called AnyFlect. Didn't work. Nobody knew why. Couldn't tell you why, but it didn't work. So people were complaining. People were dumping off the project. It's this cyclical catastrophe, just an absolute fiasco. They finally get all fixed. But then the rewards are down. They're not because the volume's down, because so much sentiment's been harmed. The devs sent an announcement on social media and they said, we're done. We can't do it. There's too much toxicity. Everybody's hating on us. Everybody's mad at us. So we quit. We're just going to quit. And they shut the project down. The token's still out there, but they locked the trading on the way out. So you can't trade it even if you wanted to because they all quit and they took it. There was another guy, one of the devs, who apparently had been fired, and they brought him back to try to, build up some replacement or bring it back to some state. And I don't know what happened to him, but all I know is they just quit and ran. Probably not, they're not the biggest cluster that I've ever seen in token management. That's easily Satama. But they're up there in the worst overall treatment and management of people. I haven't seen a project shy of Satama be so poorly managed. It just was poorly managed from jump. I'm going to give a special mention. They're not part of the fail five, but I got to give a special mention on it. I'm sorry, because as I think about it, there's no way I can't call them out. I have to. Paratoken. This token frustrates me because this launched, I'm pretty sure it was late December, early January. This had Del Rug Pull behind it. He was shilling this, he was hyping it, and it had unreasonable growth, crazy amounts of growth. I bought in like day 3 of this because I saw what their mission was. This is before all the dancing dogs and all the crap they put on the site, like that logo. This is before all that. At first, it was, we want to help our service members. We want to help our veterans. We're going to go out and make a difference in the lives of military families, which I've not been in the military, but everybody around as I grew up was. My father was in the Navy. He retired Navy. My mom was a Navy wife, obviously. I had a friend who went to the Army, 2 friends. It was a couple that went to the Marines. I dated a girl who was in the Marines. I had another friend went to the Navy. I have a friend right now who's in the National Guard. His sister's in the Marines. Like, I was surrounded by military. So I have some sympathy for what they go through. I have some awareness of what they go through. I was going to go in, and when I saw what they required me to do in BT, I was like, screw that. That's not going to work for me, brother. And they required, at the time, they required a bachelor's and all this garbage to skip it and go to O2. And I was like, I'm not doing that either. So I guess I'm not doing it. They got rid of the requirements, but point is, I saw this project and I'm seeing they're trying to help the military and they're trying to help the troops and trying to help the veterans. They're trying to help the families. And this appealed to me. Well, then fast forward and I see they're not really helping the military. They're not helping the veterans. They're not doing what they said they're going to do. And the guy in front of this, his name's Lee, who's an idiot. They're not doing what their mission was. Then I see they launched these dancing dog NFTs that nobody cares about this crap. And I'm flustered. And then they did a V2. And I think it was because off the V2, they ran into some issue or something with the contract, or they wanted to change something. I think they changed a lot of the tokenomics. Del Rug Pull was a part of that too. So they go to the V2, people, it was a cluster. It was all jacked up. People dumped off of it. This is our February. So like a month in this business, they're doing a V2. And I love the contract on V2. I didn't have any problems with it. But people dumped because they were kind of frustrated because it was jacked up in the way they did it. Turns out that they did the airdrop to give to people. Turns out the airdrop caused further issues. So now they got to do another one. So then they got to go to V3. This is like March. Now it's getting silly. Now people in their communities are turning against them because they're just doing migration after migration after migration. The current migration, I'm pretty sure, is a V3. They got rid of the reflections on it. They constrained the inventory to the nth degree. People dumped off of it. It's never recovered since. I had to give them a special mention. They're not part of the fail 5 because they're still around. Although he's an idiot, I can't put him above the other idiots that I called out. But they deserve special mention. Another one that deserves special mention, I have a banner for, Shinja, special mention. Shirio, special mention. Kishimoto, special mention. Ryoshi's Vision, special mention. I can go on and on. Whole Token, the Jeff Capital. There are so many tokens I could call out in the fail 5, but I had to target the top 5 offenders of the worst tokens because of incompetence. Incompetence or just whatever, the community, whatever. There were never going to be anything. So, for me, the lesson learned from all these fails is I can't like take Satama for example. Satama's issue is all about the community. It's a toxic community. They promoted the toxicity because they created unreasonable hype in the thing. And as they created the reasonable hype, unfortunately, they never fixed the underlying issues with their project. They weren't focused on fixing it. They were focused on hype. They were focused on shilling. They were focused on all these things. Del Rugpool was in this at first. When Lily Finance was going to launch on Cytomask and they're focused on Cytomask, Del Rugpool was in Lily Finance. So I do blame some of this on Del Rugpool. I can't blame all of it. The vast majority is that cult leader at the top. He is the one that ultimately tanked the project. I believe if as long as he's in it, it can never get back to the glory days that it once had. I still have a small bag because I didn't pay for the bag. It's just, mind Satama. But I refuse to give any money because of incompetence. I never want to enrich incompetence. So I refuse to give any money to him or anybody in the wolf pack because I just don't believe in the project and I think it's going to tank and fail at some point in the future. I struggled with putting Libero in the fail 5. Problem is I have to give him a chance. I have to give him a chance to get back to the bull run. I have to see if the bull run defrays what I think and they're able to get back to success and it's just the bear that's causing it. I don't think so, but I got to be fair to them. But I debated putting them on the list for sure. I debated putting Floki on the list because Floki rug pulled twice before its current. I debated putting Safe Moon because Safe Moon is a V2, I believe, and their airdrops were garbage and all jacked up. And then, the whole CoffeeZilla video just didn't help their matter. I was tempted to put Imperium Token because they didn't listen to my advice and then they went off NFTs and it's never recovered. Like I've so many failed tokens, so many ones. And then the common is toxic communities and devs that are just get triggered and don't listen. But I have to take these lessons as positives. I have to take them as things that helped me refine my coverage and get better at what I do. Look for the projects that are actually worth a damn instead of chasing at the ones that don't look like they're worth a damn, waiting for the devs to prove that they're incompetent or not, and just taking it as I do. And I think at some point we'll get collectively as an industry, we'll get to where there's better projects. I don't want excessive regulation. I know people are screaming for it because all the rug pulls, there's a lot of them now. I don't think that's regulating the crypto is not the right answer. It never has been. I do want to see regulations of the people. I do want to see regulations of devs that go rogue and don't listen to the investors. Regulations on certain investors, like Kim Kardashian selling ass for Ethereum Max kind of business. I do want to see regulations around some of the NFTs because I think that feels like a Ponzi scheme. I do want to see regulations around things like drip because that's an MLM pyramid scheme. I do want to see some smart regulation. I don't want to see it crap the industry. I think it's in its early phases and I think we'll get better, but we got some work to do and it'll take some time and I think we'll get there. But I repeat, I think all of us have to hold these devs accountable when they screw up. Like Satama is a great example. None of that wolf pack held him accountable. Despite me and multiple people telling them, it's all about him. He's the one jacking it all up and you're not holding him accountable. And now he's going after exchanges. It's too late. You've already lost the sentiment. The V2 might help a little bit, but we believe it's going to be a short-term pump and it's going to crap. Plus, if they don't renounce ownership again, then there's a risk they could rug pull the thing and nobody knows. So anyway, that's my fave 5 and my fail 5. And hopefully that's been educational and entertaining and informational. And hopefully it's the best quality live you've ever heard in recent times. I've been on for about an hour and 40 minutes now? I believe so. I believe that's the case. Is that right, Twitch? Yes, hour 40, right on the spot. Time for me to wrap up. If anybody has any questions, please do ask them now or forever hold your peace. Looks like we got no questions. That's no problem. I don't mind that at all. I'll go ahead and wrap up. This should archive, hopefully, to YouTube in all of its beautiful integrity. I'm hoping. I'll check it after the fact. Thank you for everybody who joined us live. Thank you for everybody listening after the fact. Hopefully, it's educational information, like I said. And if you do come across questions later on, just leave them in the comments on the YouTube channel. The Twitch, I don't archive these. It's a once and done, so you'll need to come to YouTube if you do think of something after the fact. Or you can go to cryptotalkradio.net, click contact at the top, fill out the form, and we will get back to you with any response as we can. Once again, I appreciate you for joining me tonight. Whether live or not, it is always appreciated for people to hear our content, and we will continue doing what we're doing and continue getting better at what we do.